Canadian hotshot Patrick Richard set fastest times on both the opening stages and was leading Marco Ramanen with Gary Jennings third. As Jennings set an incredible pace and Patrick Richard stayed with him. In fact, the Canadian stayed on top of the leaderboard as well, the margin between himself and Jennings hardly changing as they slugged it out. Even the massively long run through Glentrool only bringing them 1 second closer at the top of the leaderboard. And Trevor, Canadian Patrick Richard was the surprise package of the day. Unlucky at round 1, missing for round 2. This was the first chance anyone had been given to see how quick he could be, and the answer was very. Off the ground for most of the final 2 stages, as he described it, Patrick Richard knew he'd lost time against Jennings, but thought he'd done enough to keep his lead. And it was championship leader Jennings who'd gone AWOL in that long, fast run through A, second of the series' top 2 men to retire, and leaving the field clear to Patrick Richard, who now had a 7-second lead at the top from Marco Ramanen, and still didn't have the luxury of taking it easy. In fact, with victory in sight, Ramanen might now start to push harder. Gary Jennings may have retired, but that didn't make life easy for Patrick Richard, and with Ramanen close behind, this was no time to relax.
It's pretty rough. I mean, it's a lot easier for me to adapt when it's dry. When it's wet like this, it's very tricky. I'm not very used to it, so I don't have very much confidence in the handling. But on the long stage, we were pushing really hard, and we saw Gary off, and I backed off. Turns out I might have backed off a little bit too much, and it's a pretty close gap behind me to Ramanen, so hopefully I'll be able to stay in the lead now.
Patrick Richard saw the times from 9 and nailed it on 10. He drove very bravely, said Ramanen afterwards, and the lead was suddenly back up to 8 seconds. But there was still 25 miles of rallying left, and so Ramanen wasn't really too worried, nor Richard too relaxed. It wasn't over yet.